Alright. Hello everybody, this is Greg from WapCar and this...
Hey, anh trai! Hey, you do the car video one, right? Ngang, em hãy cài xe của cái shopping không?
Yeah, sure. Okay, you're in luck, uncle, because we're in the middle of a shoot and we are actually reviewing this pickup truck.
What is this?
This is the JMC Vigus Pro.
Hilux à?
No, it's not a Hilux. It's a pickup truck, but it's from a Chinese brand called JMC. And
okay, no, got Hilux, why buy this one?
actually, uncle, if you're in the market for a double cab 4x4 pickup truck with an automatic transmission, this is one of the cheapest ones.
Cheap? How cheap?
105,888 ringgit.
Fat.
Okay, so anyway, back to the truck. While it may be an affordable truck, it's not exactly cheap looking, so to speak, especially where first impressions are concerned. Because if you look up front, we've got this huge, bold grille with lots of horizontal lines and sort of squared off elements that make it look a bit more macho. Then there are the LED DRLs and LED indicators on the side mirror. And that, ladies and gents, is the only time you'll hear me say LEDs, because that's the only place you'll find them on the Vigus Pro. These automatic projector headlights, good old halogen. Anyway, onto the side, we've got two-tone 16-inch wheels and check these out. Rear disc brakes. Not bad at all when you consider only the Maxus T60 has rear disc brakes. The rest, all drums. At the rear, it's all back to basics as well. So it's an all-bulb affair for the tail lights. The tailgate is assisted, but it's part of a package that also includes leather seats, tints, dash cam, bed liner, door visors and scuff plates on scuff plates. To sum it up, it's not an ugly truck, but more of a mishmash of elements from other trucks and cars. For example, the front grille reminds me a little bit of the pre-facelift Innova's grille, and the taillights here look like a weird combination of the ones found on the Ranger and the Triton. It's safe, not offensive, but it lacks its own identity. If you're going to be picking your pickup trucks based on looks and you want it to stand out a little bit, this isn't the one for you.
For work one, no need to start also can lah.
Of course, with a pickup truck, the focus is always on the cargo bed, and in this case, the maximum load is 850 kg, while the bed measures 1,475mm both lengthwise and in width. It's not the largest in the segment and the maximum load isn't the heaviest, but unless you're hauling some serious cargo that would trouble a full-on commercial lorry, I think it's more than enough for small business owners or delivery drivers. We have some random bits of cargo with us, so let's try and load it in and see what happens. Now this is a far cry from what business owners would carry, but at least you get an idea on how much you can load with actual props for reference.
Huh? Not enough uncle.
Stepping inside, the interior of the JMC Vigus Pro is, how can I put this? It's functional, it's straightforward, it's bland. Okay, which is no bad thing. I mean, this is exactly the kind of interior you want in a Workhorse. Build quality on this CKD truck is decent, it's average. There are lots of hard, scratchy plastic.
Never mind. Little bang here, bang then also paint on ma.
Moving on, the seats. Now, the seats themselves, they are not the greatest in the world. I mean, they're somewhat supportive, but they get the job done. There's no height adjustment, and the steering wheel is only adjustable for tilt. So, finding a comfortable driving position may be a bit of a challenge, especially if you're on the shorter side. The floor is covered in some sort of vinyl material, and the mats themselves, they don't have any anchor points. So, they're going to slide about quite a fair bit actually. I mean, if this was my Workhorse, So overall ergonomics is a bit of hit and miss in this truck. Elsewhere, the instrument cluster, fairly simple, fairly straightforward. We've got analog dials and a 3.5-inch TFT display with all the info you need. But I really like is this, the 2-spoke leather-wrapped steering wheel. Feels good in my hands, helps to visually spice things up a little bit, and hey, even get pedal shifters and buttons for the cruise control and the audio controls. Moving on, the infotainment system is an 8-inch touchscreen with USB and Bluetooth connectivity. No Android Auto, no Apple CarPlay, which may not be a deal breaker in a Workhorse, but rivals like the new Ford Ranger, they have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. So there you go. We also get a reverse camera, but the quality is not good. The same can be said for the audio system, which is the first thing people notice when they step in, and not for a good reason. Further down, there's one USB port and controls for the manual air conditioning. Then there's the 4x4 transfer knob and buttons for the folding side mirrors and hill descent control. So everything looks and feels very basic in here, until you get to this point. The electronic gear shifter that should look somewhat familiar to Peugeot owners. Anyway, it's a nice touch, I like it. It's just kind of weird to see it side by side with this handbrake. Funny like this interior, it's like they started off trying to make things look quite atas with the 2-spoke wheel, and then went back to Workhorse for the center stack, and then went back to atas for the gear shifter. But all that back and forth is fine, I'm just nitpicking. What I find hard to swallow is the lack of storage spaces on the inside. I mean, okay, you only get one cup holder and two small weird cutout thingies. The armrest opens up to a tiny compartment and the glove box is decent at best. I mean, you don't even get cutouts near the window controls, which is where I store all my access cards, touch and goes, whatever it is, you name it. It's bad. The side storage by the doors, you know, they're narrow. I mean, you can only fit an average size water bottle and maybe your wallet, and that's about it. I mean, for a Workhorse that's bound to be full of loose items to left, right.
Wow, like that cannot lah.
Uncle, please, we're trying to shoot!
Sorry, paiseh, sorry.
At the back, it's Spartan. I mean, no aircon vents, no charging ports, no armrest, nothing. Absolutely nothing except for seat pockets. Really, is it that hard to cut out some small cubby holes by the side? And as for the door pockets, small. It's just enough to fit an average size water bottle, that's it. I'm 184 cm tall, and with the front seat adjusted to my driving position, legroom is that. Headroom is decent, it's not the best, it's decent. The seats themselves, very upright, as is the case with most trucks. There's no support. Long trips, it's a big no-no, but for getting people from A to B, gets the job done. Okay, alright, now let's find out how it drives. On the move, the JMC Vigus Pro is actually surprisingly good. So under the bonnet, we've got the Ford-sourced Puma 2-litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine with 141 horsepower and 340 Nm of torque. It's not the best engine in the world, but it's actually pretty quiet and refined. And the power delivery it's quite smooth. And I know it's not the most important thing in a pickup truck, but we tested it and we got a 0 to 100 time of 15.2 seconds. The gearbox itself is another bonus. It's a ZF 8-speeder unit and no complaints, you know, it's very smooth, it's very responsive. Even using the pedal shifters, I know pedal shifters in the truck, right? Everything is very immediate, you know, there's no delay, it's just click, click, click and bang, 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 like so. Yeah. There's one thing you have to be aware though, and that's the brakes. You see, stopping power itself is not the best, in fact it's not good. But what's even scarier is the size of the brake pedal. It's really, really small. Look! As for ride quality and refinement, it's another pleasant surprise. I mean, the damping is good, it doesn't crash through potholes, and at highway speeds, it's not overly floaty. Yeah, all in all, refinement is alright. It's not a disaster. Remember, at the end of the day, this is still a pickup truck and one that leans towards the workhorse side of things rather than the lifestyle side of things. So as long as you're ready to accept that, you know what you're getting yourself into, then you won't be majorly disappointed. But you will be majorly disappointed when you look at the safety kit list. I mean, no ADAS features, 2 airbags, ABS, EBD, ESP and traction control, and That's it. Tu je.
Aiyo, this one jialat lah. Work or play also need safety, right?
Yeah, actually, good point, uncle. I mean, most competitors at this price point, they're not exactly that much better, so everybody should be stepping up their game in terms of safety. And on that note, where does this leave the JMC Vigus Pro? I'll admit, it's gonna be a bit of a tough sell because the brand isn't exactly well known, but you know, with big names attached to the important bits like Ford and ZF, reliability shouldn't be much of an issue. There are a total of 20 service centers around the country, so maintaining one isn't as difficult as you think it is. And remember, the price tag, 105,888 ringgit. You're getting a pretty decent truck for the money if you ask me. Warranty period, well, that's 5 years or 150,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. It's truly a case of you win some, you lose some with the JMC Vigus Pro. I mean, if you're looking for a no-nonsense, back-to-basics workhorse of a truck, I would say go for it. However, if you're after something a little more lifestyle-oriented, something with a little bit more flair, a bit more...
subscribe, press bell sign, thank you, I test drive now can
Yeah, sure. Okay. Pass you the keys.